successful people do what failures won't. I don't know if I read that somewhere, if I just came up with that, but in the early days, I would literally do anything. If you asked me to come adjust your door, I would do it, or install a doorknob. It didn't matter, and I did well at that, because I was doing those things. I was making great money doing it. I was doing things that other people wouldn't do.
Determination. I mean, we basically look at it as, failure is not an option. So, though we may have, a job that we don't do well on, or we fail at, or we show a loss on, failure for the company is not an option. So we are driven, we are focused, and, determination. And your determination and willpower can do a whole lot more than you actually think it can.
All right, good morning, Savannah. Welcome to Savannah Business Showcase. I'm Taraz, your host, and I'm here this morning with Seth and Billy Norwood of Norwood Construction. Norwood Construction is a residential, light commercial construction company formed in 2011 by two brothers, Billy and Seth, out in Richmond Hill, Georgia. Their focus is to provide top quality construction in a variety of fields, from new construction and additions to remodeling, rehab, and insurance restoration. Sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the way I like to start, I usually start with like a little scenario. I'm messing up already. A little scenario. And all right, so here it goes. Because the purpose of the show is to like motivate new entrepreneurs to get off the sidelines, jump into the game, and help motivate them and inspire them. So here we go. You guys are in your neighborhoods. You're walking in your neighborhood. A little kid comes up to you and says, Seth, Billy, you guys are my heroes. I want to be like you when I grow up. My question is, in the language of that a 10 or 12-year-old can understand, what does it take to be Seth and Billy Norwood?
It takes hard work and dedication, and a faith and a belief that you can succeed in anything that you do.
Yeah, and just treat people fairly. Treat people the way that you want to be treated. Do a good job for people, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. So tell us about yourself. Tell everybody about yourselves.
We grew up in Richmond Hill. We were wild and crazy, and went to college for construction, and had really no intentions of being entrepreneurs. But the recession hit, and Billy ventured out on his own, and basically gave me an invitation to join him, and I couldn't resist. I had been on the road for so long, and missed family, missed friends, and it was an opportunity to come back and work with my brother in a field that we both love and have a passion for.
That's pretty cool. So I didn't know you guys were from Richmond Hill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grew up here. Been here 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And but to add to what he said, it's I was at Georgia Southern. I was in pre-dental chemistry with the idea that I was going to go to dental school, and change my mind at the end of my third year there, and added 2 more years to my college career than I was going to be there for 4, and added 2 more years, and just decided that I would take some construction classes just to be able to stay in school, and I ended up loving it. Something that I never thought I would go into construction as a career.
Yeah.
I ended up liking the classes. I took a job with a residential home builder right out of school.
Okay.
And I loved it. I worked for some great people, and just had a passion for it. And went from there to a custom home builder, another builder here locally. Worked for him for several years, and each time I changed jobs, the first time it was to take a different opportunity with another company building custom homes, and the economy took us out, so ended up having to go find another job, and got hired on with another great company. And each time that I changed companies, it was another learning opportunity. I didn't look at it as a problem. I looked at it as an opportunity. And I think that's why we've been so successful. Is you lose your job, it's a major thing.
Yeah.
And you can either, let it break you, or you can take it and run with the opportunity. And that's the way we've looked at everything. You know, every setback is an opportunity to move forward and to better yourself, and that's what it's been. And, you know, when I decided to go out on my own, it was a leap of faith. Yeah. I mean, I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a job lined up. I did have a few little side jobs. I've always kind of done little side jobs, you know, to make extra money, or, you know, help friends and family out doing certain things to their homes, or, you know, whatever it may be. And I had a few of those lined up, and decided in the middle of May of 2012 that the last Friday in June would be my last day of work. Yeah. And I always joke, you know, people say that if you love what you do, you really don't, it's really not work. Mm-hmm. Well, I've always joked since July 1st of 2012 I've been unemployed. So and you know, it just, you know, I still didn't have a plan. I put a resume together. I started interviewing for jobs, and busier and busier, and looked up one day and I told my wife, I was like, you know, I'm going to have to get my contractor's license. Mm-hmm. And and you know, I didn't, there was a few job opportunities. Had a pretty large national home builder call me and offer me a job in either Columbia, South Carolina, or Charleston, and chose not to take it. Yeah. And it's one of the best decisions I ever made. Yeah. Was to jump. Yeah. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. So like, so why construction? What is it about construction that you guys love so much?
We've always been outdoors. You know, we grew up in the age, you know, Nintendo came out when we were yeah. You know, at that age, and you know, we kind of chose the route of spending our time outside. Yeah. You know, we grew up here in Richmond Hill. There wasn't a whole lot here back in the late 80s and early 90s. And so you either hung out inside or you went out and played. Yeah. You know, so we've always been outside, always been hands-on, you know, riding dirt bikes. We lived on the river, so we were, you know, either riding our dirt bikes or we were in the river.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Running through the woods, camping, whatever. And as we grew, we'd work with our uncle. He'd renovate houses. We were his demo rats. We'd go in and tear things apart, pull toilets out, smash walls. I think the most awful thing I ever did was tear a chimney apart from an old house. And, you know, every day I'd come out of there, I'd be, you know, pitch black soot all over my face. And it was one of those hands-on things that you got to see a difference in what you were doing every day. Yeah. You know, and you're not in the same place. You're not in a desk, you know, and it's virtually changing at your fingertips, you know, and you're on a different job site in a different location, meeting different people, and it's just you know, it's a roller coaster, but it's a fun roller coaster. Yeah,
I agree with that, especially the Nintendo part, because I mean, when I was growing up, we had the games, but like there were breaks, they sucked. First of all, you're not gonna get addicted to them, and then like even if you watch the TV all day, there are commercials. Right. You know, now you have Netflix and Hulu and Amazon. Right. There's no commercial. There's no break. You sit there. They suck you in to sit there all day. Yeah. Right. You know, my kid. You know, and that's how we met through our kids. But like, my kids don't even want to go outside half the time. You know. Right. Yeah.
You know, same with us. I got one. Yeah. You ask her what she wants to do, and she says I want to color, and the other one says I want to go outside. So, you know, and plus, you know, where we grew up, it afforded us the opportunity to actually do that. You know, we lived on a 2-mile-long dirt road that, you know, when we moved there in 1987, there were 13 houses on it. So there was nothing but woods around us. Wasn't really a whole lot for us to get in trouble with, you know, so.
No cable. We had 3 channels to watch.
Yeah, right, yeah. Antenna with foil on it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the thought of actually sitting behind a desk or being inside all day, to me, is terrifying, you know, so that's one of the reasons that, you know, I decided that maybe dentistry wasn't the way I should go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So have you guys seen Richmond Hill change as far as business goes, as far as construction goes? Like how's it changed over the years?
Well, it's changed a lot because growing up, you know, being 10, 11, 12 years old, you know, we were building tree forts and things like that, and I don't think there was a house on our street between 1987 and '92 or '93 that we weren't stealing lumber off of to build our tree forts.
Right.
But I remember the days, those days back then, everything was hand drive. The framers and the carpenters, they were actually swinging a hammer all day, every day. It wasn't, they didn't have nail guns. So the amount of time that it took to build a house and things like that, it just took longer.
Yeah.
And thinking back to all those days in the summertime, you hear it would be nothing but hammers banging all day long. All day, you have 3 or 4 guys, up on the house banging hammers and banging nails or whatever.
Yeah.
So
how long does it take you guys now to from the first? How long does it take you now?
A typical house, usually around 5 to 6 months.
Okay. Does that include clearing the land or no land? Not, or does it matter?
Clearing the land.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So as soon as we get a permit in our hands, it's usually about 5 to 6 months. If it's a smaller house and we're on a roll, we can 4 months. But
yeah,
we traditionally like to take our time, make sure that we're giving the customer a product that we would build for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's one thing we pride ourselves on is I want you at the end of the day to trust me, to call me, and us to have a relationship.
Right.
So that's what we pride ourselves on. I don't want to have to avoid your phone call or be in Publix and be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, right.
So that's not our goal. We live in the community, we work in the community, and we want to have a relationship with our community.
Okay.
So
I've heard you mention trust and faith, and what is that? Are those y'all main core values as to what you instill in your business, or is it something else? Am I missing something?
No, that's it. It's we both have a strong faith, and I tell people all the time. People say, "Well, how have you been so successful?" It's I didn't do it on my own. We didn't. He and I didn't do it on our own. I didn't.
Yeah.
It was a thought of mine, and there's a lot of prayer that's gone into this.
You can look back at our lives and our paths and basically see where God's hand was on us, moving us. At the time, we might have thought it was the fatal blow, but it was really just His way of putting us where we need to be and to bring us to this point. And it's always been a growth, and it's a true answer to why we don't know everything and we can't see the future.
Right.
Because if we did, then we would be trying to change it or manipulate it.
Right. Yeah, I listen to a lot of Zig Ziglar. I don't know if you guys listen to him at all, but he has this one little quote that he says, if you ever see a turtle on a fence post, you can be sure he didn't get there by himself.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it sounds like you guys have it together. I appreciate that you're this successful, and that you also you give back, because that's how we met. Also, is you guys volunteer,
right?
To coach the little soccer teams and stuff.
I'll tell you what's terrifying.
What's that?
Showing up to the first day of practice with a 5-year-old. That is more intimidating than anybody that you could put across a desk from me. I assure you of that.
And the pleasure that they bring is more satisfying than work or anything that we can do out outside. Watching a kid's growth in sports or just in their life is amazing. And that's why we do it. And even when we were younger, I used to volunteer and umpire baseball games and soccer games and things like that, just to be a part. So
I think you kind of got paid for that.
Some of it was community service.
All right, we won't go down that road.
Kid tricks.
Yeah.
So I was a real estate agent for about 3 years before we moved here, and I still listen to a lot of real estate podcasts and radio shows. And one guy was saying that construction, builder confidence is down in the market. Is that how you guys feel? Do you guys how do you see the future of construction right now? I guess how do you see the future of construction right now? Like, how do you see? You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, there's a bunch of things that I can't predict the future, but I look at other companies. I look at the larger builders and kind of try to see what they're doing. I talk to anybody that works at a bank. I try to talk to. I think the housing market for now is going to be strong for. I'm thinking the next 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Beyond that, I can't really tell you. It may be good for another 6 or 7. Who knows? But it's cyclical. I mean, if you look at the past 20 years, there's been ups and downs. Of course, we had the 07, 08. That took a lot of people out. But even before that, you got ups and downs. It never stopped moving. I think one of the good things about our area, you got from Charleston to Jacksonville. You kind of look over across what the rest of the country was doing even 2 years ago, and 5 years ago, and 7 years ago. It never stopped. It kind of felt like it stopped, but and for a lot of people it did, unfortunately, because there are a lot of great people in this business, and but I think as a whole, I think the economy is going to be good for the next 4 or 5 years, and beyond that, I can't say.
Gotcha.
But my confidence is up. I've got a lot of money out, and as a lot of builders do, you gotta put yourself out there. You got to take a risk. So
we've got a lot of things that promote growth in our area. We've got a port that's getting larger, has been deepened. So we've got a lot of logistics coming to this area. We've got Gulfstream. We've got 2 military bases that drive influx, and so where other people in other areas, their ups and downs may be more cyclical than ours. I think that we'll still see growth, even if it slows down some. So,
got you. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yes, you do have to take a risk and get out there, but if you're careful and you're confident and you calculate those risks, that you can stay level throughout an up and a down.
So what's it like working with your brother? As brothers, what's it like?
We always like to kid. We'll sit there and I don't care what he does on his side of the company, and he doesn't care what I do on my side of the company. So no, we work well together. We're honestly we mesh well. He has his things that he does very well, and I have my things that I do very well. And if we need to come together and focus on a specific job, or I need help here or he needs help there, we're not afraid to ask each other. We butt heads here and there, but I think we work well together. We work as a family, and that's how we've structured our business. Everybody that works with us, they don't work for us, they work with us, because we're a team, and that's the way we like to keep it. Everything that we do as a company, our office manager, it goes through her first. So we call her our boss.
Catfish.
That's her husband. But she's our boss. She is a part of our business in everyday life, and it truly helps us, and it makes everything work well together.
Yeah. That's awesome. And siblings are special. I'm an only child technically, but I have a sister that I was raised with that I call my sister. But like siblings are special because you're gonna outlive your parents. They had a whole life before they had you. You're gonna die before your kids. Hopefully, they're gonna have a whole life after you. But your siblings, you kind of live your entire life with.
Right.
So they're special in that regard. So like, do you guys have any tips or advice or for another brother team or sibling team that are gonna go into business together?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is allow your brother, your sibling, or whatever to be the individual they are, and understand that you're working for a common goal. I tend to be a little type A, want everything done my way and this and that. And it's not always that's not the right way to do it. So I have to be real careful not to step on his toes or tell him what to do, or you got to do it this way. So you need to treat your siblings like you would treat your employees. Because you tend to forget that, you are coworkers. You're not always you're always family, but you gotta leave that at the door sometimes.
Yeah.
And if he tells me something, as a constructive criticism, I got to be able to separate brother Seth from coworker Seth. So, and sometimes you get your feelings hurt. It's what you need to hear, but
right. Still hurts. Still stings a little bit.
Yeah, it still stings. I can't believe my brother just told me that. So you got to be able to separate it. I think we do a very good job of separating that. And when we were joking one day, he said he was going to take the day off. Like take that Friday off, and I was joking around. I said, well, you hadn't run that through HR yet, have you? And he laughed. He goes, hey, you can do what you want to do on your half of the company. I'm gonna do what I want to do on my half of the company. But
I think that's where that came from.
Yeah, that's where it came from. So we got to just respect each other's boundaries and understand that you are working for the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. And we like to keep an atmosphere that's laid back to an extent, directed at a common goal, and just come into work with an attitude, A, to succeed, B, to be happy, and show each other love, and that's the common goal of the entire company, whether it's, us in the office, us out in the field, or, anybody else working with us. And I think we've structured and we've built our team to look like that from the outside. So
that's awesome. I just realized, so your kid's named Carson and Palmer.
Right.
Was that on purpose?
That was not on purpose. It's funny you say that, because I think the first day we were in the hospital in Greenville, that's where Palmer was born, I got a text from a buddy of ours, Troy, and he said, "Is that intentional?" And I asked him, I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Carson Palmer." I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "The quarterback, Carson Palmer. Don't you know?" I'm like, I got no idea. So that came to light at that time, and it's kind of funny but we had no intention. I didn't even know there was a quarterback named Carson Palmer until it was brought up.
That's crazy.
So,
yeah. Well, that's cool though.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, okay. Who's older? Palmer.
Oh, Carson's the oldest.
Carson's the oldest, right? Yeah. Okay. So. And between you guys, Billy, you're older.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. By how much?
4 years.
4 years.
Yep.
All right.
So.
That's why you're type A.
I
Probably.
I say I'm younger and wiser. That's why I lost my hair faster. So.
But it's funny, like, a lot of people, that knew us growing up, maybe they may not have seen us in a few years. I might run into somebody, at the grocery store or something like that, and they always call me Seth. It's happened our whole life.
Really?
I don't know why.
Okay.
It's funny. And they're like, "Hey, Seth, how are you doing?" So it's...
We've had people think that we were twins.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys do not look alike.
I don't think so either.
Some people say we look exactly alike. It's wild.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Most people, like, when they see us together, like, they think he's older.
Okay. I do see that. Maybe it is the bald head.
It's probably the bald head.
Okay.
I couldn't take it. I had an opportunity. I think my dad said one time, he's like, "If you want to get treatment," he's like, "I'll help you out." And I was like, "Man, I'm not putting up with that the rest of my life." I said,
gotta have that Trump comb over.
That's right. Yeah. Everybody would be like, "Oh, where'd you get those implants?" I said, "All my buddies will be beating me to death about it." I said, "We'll just shave it and keep it that way."
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. I tried it, but I had like a little cone on the top of my head, so I can't. I gotta like have some hair, Okay. Anything we left out? Like what areas do you guys service? You do Richmond Hill, but do you do anywhere else?
We Richmond Hill, Savannah, Midway, Pooler. We're all the way out to Tybee and some in Effingham County.
I'd say locally about a 40-mile radius.
Okay.
And depending on what it is, we'll go farther.
We've done a large renovation on a 300-unit apartment complex in Athens, Georgia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We built an orthodontist office in Jefferson, Georgia. We're about to go to Spartanburg, South Carolina, and rebuild some apartments that burnt down. So
So what are these people looking for that they reached out to you that are so far away?
Most of them are referrals from my previous employer. I worked with a company out of Greenville. We built apartments basically all over the Southeast, and excellent company. And if it's something that's out of their wheelhouse, I've still got a strong relationship with them, and they'll refer us to them. And if it works out, then it works out. And, we couldn't be more happy, and that's where we owe a lot of our success is to them.
So how do you get most of your clients? Is it just word of mouth, or you guys doing anything else?
Word of mouth. We have a Facebook page, and we do have a website, but more than anything, it's word of mouth, repeat customers. We're a part of a networking organization.
That's right. BNI.
BNI, right. Yep. And initially, that's what drove probably 80 to 90% of our business, and we owe a lot of our success to them.
So why'd you choose BNI? Because I joined the chamber recently, and I went to a BNI meeting. I've been to 1 Million Cups here in Savannah. I've been to several other things, but like why? And I like BNI. I'm not trying to say anything, but like why BNI for you?
I would say it's the structure and the focus. You can join a lot of other networking groups, and it's more of a social event. Whereas BNI is structured to develop and create referral partners and build business. Whereas in other things, it's a social event. You're drinking, you're conversating. You're not necessarily focused on driving the business or giving somebody else's business, business. So BNI is based on giver's gain. So the more you give, the more you gain. So your focus should be to give. It's just like any other situation. So if I'm giving to you, then you're going to be like, all right, well, that's going to give you incentive to give back.
Yeah.
So it works well.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to take a break here in a second. Anything I left out you guys want to mention?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. How can people find you? What's the best way people can find you?
You can call us. My number is 912-210-2985. Seth's number is 912-312-5532. You can go to our website, which is builtbynorwood.com. You can find us on Facebook. So any of those methods.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, everybody out there, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with the lightning round, which should be exciting. And we'll see you guys in a second. Don't go anywhere. Bye. All right, Savannah, and we're back. Once again, you're here with Therese of the Savannah Business Showcase, and I'm here joined by Billy and Seth Norwood of Norwood Construction here in Richmond Hill, builtbynorwood.com. And we're going to put them through the lightning round. All right, you guys ready?
Ready.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. How have you approached failure in life? Whoever wants to go. Keep it classy.
You hit it head on. I mean, if you're not failing, you're not trying. So you have to take your failures or your setbacks and turn it into a positive. And just because you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Things are going to go wrong, and it's how you handle the situation is going to directly affect your outcome.
Did you want to add to that or no?
I mean, I think he did well. We kind of look at things as, if you fail here, it's just teaching you where you need to be better in the future. So,
okay. All right. So I'll read through these. You guys can answer, and then cut me off before I go to the next question if somebody else wants to jump in.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Who influenced you early in life, and who's your mentor now?
Our parents influenced us a great deal. One of the things that our dad always used to tell us is to get an education. You can go dig ditches your whole life, but as long as you have an education, you don't have to dig ditches anymore. So our parents were, a huge influence, and it's one of the reasons we have such a strong work ethic, and definitely parents.
And sports, we played sports growing up, and that teaches you basically morals, values, sportsmanship, determination, you know, and attitude. Our dad always said, you know, attitude is everything. So if you wake up and your attitude, you've got a good attitude, then the rest of your day will be good. So it's a mindset, and you can make your attitude what you want your attitude to be.
Advice for new entrepreneurs.
Determination. I mean, we basically look at it as, you know, failure is not an option. So, you know, though we may have, you know, a job that we don't do well on, or we fail at, or we show a loss on, failure for the company is not an option. So we are driven, we are focused, and, you know, determination. And your determination and willpower can do a whole lot more than you actually think it can.
Yeah.
What did you want to be as a kid, and how does that relate to your current business?
I wanted to be a professional baseball player.
Okay.
Doesn't relate at all.
What position did you play?
Shortstop, third base.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Shortstop is kind of a leader position, right? Leadership position. Okay.
This is a hot spot.
Yeah, it relates a little bit.
Yeah.
You're the leader of the company, part leader, co-leader.
Yeah, co-leader.
Yeah. What did you do growing up that got you into trouble?
Oh goodness, there's tons of things. Besides riding our motorcycles to the gas station and getting people to buy you cigarettes, or you know.
We didn't get into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
You know, it was
maybe got caught with a nudie magazine or something once.
I know, right? You don't even need those anymore.
Yeah. Thank God.
But, you know, so we were pretty good kids. We had things that kept us busy. You know, if you're entertained and, you know, by sports and, you know, a family atmosphere where, you know, your mentors are there with you, keeping you focused. You've got things to do, like play football in the yard, or ride motorcycles, or go fishing, or be in a boat. Then, you know, it creates a good atmosphere and good kids, and that's you know, that's what we're trying to do with our families, is raise them, spend time with them. The most valuable thing that you can give your kids and family is your time, and that's one thing that our dad always instilled in us. And he was at every baseball game, at every football game. He coached our teams, you know, and he was strict and hard on us, but I think that's why, you know, we are who we are today.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were on a pretty short leash, so, you know, getting in a whole bunch of trouble was, you know, usually not, there wasn't an opportunity for it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the way, you know, we raise our kids, and, you know, they I mean, they're 3 and 5 right now, but I don't see that changing with our families. You know, you got to know what they're doing. You got to know who they're with, you know, and we just didn't have the opportunity to get in a whole lot of trouble.
Right. So. Right. Yeah. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, that was kind of probably the best advice I got as a dad when we had our first son, is just to be there for him.
Absolutely.
You know, because that's not, you know, that's what you remember.
Right.
You don't remember all the Christmas presents, and the present you got is when you turned 16. You remember the time you played a game with your dad and mom. You know?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Next one. Do you have any other siblings, or is it just you two?
Just us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
just
right.
us.
What are you going to teach your kids about entrepreneurship?
Everything.
Right, absolutely. We jumped into business having no clue. We'd always worked for somebody.
Right.
And, you know, coming into it, you don't know what you don't know. And the hardest part is we were always hands-on. We were always in the field, and we didn't understand the business aspect. And, you know, that'll be one focus that, you know, we would try to instill in them is A, work ethic, and then B, you know, teach them how to run a business. And if they want to go out on their own, you know, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be one of those dads that hands the wheels to them and says go. You know, they're going to have to create their own path. And if, you know, if they develop the attitude and the business sense to come on board and work their way to the top, then they're welcome here.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is that anybody can teach kids these days, and if you look even 20 years ago, when we graduated high school, I graduated in 97, back then, the model has always been get a good education, go to college, get a great job, work your whole life, retire, here's your pension. That's not there anymore.
No, it's not.
It's not there anymore. And I think the biggest thing that we can teach our youth is, yes, education matters. But, we have a real shortage of tradespeople, and it's only getting worse, and it's going to get worse. So education, absolutely, but that doesn't necessarily look like college for everybody.
Right.
Maybe it's trade school. Maybe it's going to learn how to be a plumber, electrician, or an auto mechanic. There are thousands of jobs out there that need to be filled right now. So being an entrepreneur, for me was, it was something that I always wanted to do. It was all about timing for me. Not necessarily I don't think there's ever a perfect time. It's like having kids. If you wait for the perfect time, you'll never have it.
Right. Yeah.
So for me, it was, I always looked at job security. Well, after getting laid off from a job, and then, I didn't get laid off from a second job, but my role in the company changed. And my option was either we can go start doing this work, or you're going to have to look for another job. So that was another opportunity for me. So being an entrepreneur for me is all about security. I'm more secure now than when I had employment, when I worked for somebody else.
Right.
And, getting somebody to understand that is the hardest thing. But once they grasp it, and for me, it took basically losing 2 jobs to understand that, the world's not what it used to be 40, 50 years ago. So my job security is knowing that, I can go out and cut grass if I have to pay my mortgage, or deliver pizzas.
Right.
I enjoy what I do.
Right. Be willing to do something that nobody else is. And it's just like if you got lead by example. So if you've got guys that are working with you, I'm not afraid to go pick up a tool and put the trim up, or paint the wall, or fix the drywall patch. And that's something that should be instilled in everybody. You're no better than me just because you're the guy with the tool belt on and I'm the guy doing the paperwork.
Right.
We still have value. We've got the same amount of value. If you weren't working with me and I wasn't doing this end, then nothing would get done. So, nobody's really better than anybody as long as you're producing something. Right.
Right. I agree. What's the one thing in your business that drains you of energy, and what's one thing that excites you?
Seeing the product and building something is exciting as all get out. Paperwork and the daily drag through invoicing and building estimates and things like
bureaucracy.
Yeah.
That's what's the
paying insurance, paying the light bill, it's the necessary evils that drain you. But, the biggest reward for me is twofold. My biggest reward is at the end of a job, having a client tell me thank you. And just have a smile on their, and seeing the way that they react to what we've done for them, and the smile on their face, and the joy that whether we build them a new house or remodel their kitchen, it's the joy that they bring, that brings them. That's what excites me. And the fact that I can, my grandkids or great grandkids can ride down the street one day and say, my granddaddy built that house back in whenever. That's cool. There's not a ton of professions that have that ability.
That's true. To
ride by and actually see something physical that you've done.
Yeah, your ancestor built.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have that little bit of heritage that you get to leave behind. It's cool. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's something you guys consume religiously? It could be like a blog, TV show, podcast, YouTube channel.
Coffee.
Okay, that too.
I love to read. That wasn't always the case in my life. I always joke that my favorite book is the first book I ever read, and That's Dr. Seuss's Green Eggs and Ham.
Okay.
But no, after college, I didn't have that constant, information, that constant source or stream of information. So I picked up reading, and it doesn't matter. It could be something on business. It could be, anything. I just love reading. It could be getting on a website, and just reading, forums.
What's the book that hooked you? That you were like, wow, I like this reading thing.
What? Still, it's still one of my favorite books. It wasn't. I don't think it really got accolades or anything like that. But it's called The Sea Wolf by Jack London.
Yeah.
Still my favorite book.
Yeah, I love everything Jack London.
Yeah,
honestly.
I mean, it's one of the. It's just I grew up on the coast. I've always liked the water. It was an adventure. I read it in the 7th grade, which was a feat in the 7th grade. But I couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say, but I read 3 books from the time I was in kindergarten till the time I graduated college: Green Eggs and Ham, The Sea Wolf, and The Catcher in the Rye.
Okay.
The Sea Wolf is my favorite book, and The Catcher in the Rye is my least favorite book. So I love to read. It can be anything. I love magazines, books, whatever. I love to read.
Yeah, yeah. Jack London has like a manliness to the way he writes.
Yes.
It makes you want to go outside and be like a caveman again almost.
Yeah.
when you read Jack London.
Yeah, exactly. It's raw.
Yeah.
It's life.
Yeah.
It's life.
Favorite book, Seth?
Favorite book?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I couldn't tell you that I have one.
Okay.
I'm more of a blog article reader.
Okay.
Get on, a website, the whole truth, and read about boats or fishing or, just looking in magazines and reading those articles.
Okay.
But something that I'm addicted to or a fanatic with is running.
Okay.
It's one of those things that you're always basically against time.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of gives you something as a goal, and then, it's endless.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of do as you wish and, push yourself.
Yeah.
But besides that, fishing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're working on right now. I've got we call it the Gigger rig. It's the a flounder boat.
Okay.
Basically, it's got lights rigged up on it, and that's built my passion right now.
Okay.
I'm trying to get that thing ready to go, and we'll be in it this weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
maybe I'll join you.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's fun. It's night fishing.
Okay.
So you got to get your headlamp on. And
I might. I might hit you up.
All right.
But I started running this year. End of last year. This year I did the Brooklyn Half Marathon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was tough.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I signed up for the Rock and Roll Marathon, but I'm not gonna do it.
Come on.
No,
I'll run it with you. I'll run it with you.
I did enough.
Billy and I joke. His wife, my sister-in-law, she's competitive as all get out, and so we would run together. I mean, not at the same time all the time, but we kind of competed against each other. So we'd run 5Ks, 10Ks, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to do the bridge run, the Savannah bridge run.
Okay,
the 10K.
I'll be there.
Okay.
That'll be excellent.
Yeah, we're going to do the
Brunswick
10K.
stew at the end is the whole reason.
So
didn't even know about it, but now
Yeah.
I'm ready.
She'd run these races with me, and I had a pretty good winning streak on these races. Well, we both trained and ran the half marathon at the Rock and Roll, and she beat my brakes off. I'll admit it to this day. Yeah, I kind of fell off the wagon, and I paced myself wrong to start out, burn out at about 8 miles, got blisters on my feet, and started cramping at mile 10.
Oh, man.
I looked like a pirate with peg legs going down the road trying to finish the race. But she blasted past me. She actually was nice enough to hang with me. I said, look, if you got it, go. I said, don't wait on me. And she said, are you serious? I said, get it, girl.
Yeah.
So she took off and finished way ahead of me. But it was fun. I'll do it again this year.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. All right. Okay. That was good to know. I'll have somebody to cheer on.
Yeah.
What's the last experience that made you a stronger person?
Oh goodness, I would say the birth of our son. he was born at 29 weeks premature. My wife went in the hospital with preeclampsia and had an emergency C-section. And just seeing him come into this world at 2 pounds 12 ounces, and the miracle of him surviving that, and the hospital and at Memorial, the NICU, and the things that they do to help those babies along is life-changing, and just amazing. And I'd say that just his birth it renewed my faith, and just changed me as a person altogether.
Can't follow that.
No, that's
okay. I couldn't either. That's deep.
That's a tough one to follow.
Okay. What story does your family always tell about you?
I don't know. There's just so many, It's just because we were always together. There's always so. It's just. I don't know that I have one story. Do you?
I know from my preschool graduation that I forgot to wear underwear. They always tell that one. And when I was a little baby, it didn't matter whoever was around me, whatever they were eating, I'd be like, I want to bite.
Yeah.
That was what else? I don't know really anything else.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. We'll do a few more. What's a tool that you couldn't run your business without? It could be a physical tool since you're in construction, but also like an app or a website or something.
Unfortunately, our cell phones.
Yep.
These days they're attached to you. I mean, it's really everything. It's your way of communication. It's your text message, email, alarm clock, entertainment.
That's true.
It really is. And unfortunately, in today's age, if you call somebody and they don't answer, you text them, and they don't answer. 5 minutes later, you send an email, and they don't answer. Yeah. And now you're the one that's mad because they haven't returned your your
know
call
they saw
in 8 minutes.
I'd say it's all of us. I mean. We're a network in the office. We've got, I rely on him. If I need this or whatever, or I need Brian or Cindy, we all work well together. They can call me, or, I can call them, and, I couldn't do it without all of them. I mean, I hope they feel that way about us. I mean, if they need something, then, I want to be there to help them and lend a hand.
Yeah. We work for them.
Gotcha. That's a good way to run it. There's a concept called the 80-20 principle, Paretos Principle. 20% of your actions equal 80% of your results. So, like in your business, what are the small number of actions you do that get you the most results?
Our customer service, I think, because the way we handle every job. You could literally come to us and ask us to tell us your budget's, $175,000. And we build you a small house. That person's not going to get treated any different than somebody that we're building a $500,000 home for. Everybody. We go as far as we possibly can to make sure everybody understands exactly what they're getting. Any questions that they have, we try very hard to answer. So our customer service, I think, is really the 20% that gets us 80% of
the results.
Of the results, absolutely.
Okay, got you.
It's kind of like a dysfunctional family, They're just an extension of our family. So we're for that 6-8 months, we're going to have a tight relationship and tight communication, and then following that, it might be a long lost friendship. They call us when they need us, but we're always there. We've got a customer that we built a house for in the Bluffs, and he's like a best friend. We eat dinner with them. They come over for dinner. Our kids play together. Yeah. And it's a relationship from the get go.
Yeah. And going into a build like that, that's our end goal.
Mm-hmm.
Is, you know, to have a lasting relationship with somebody, you know, after they move in, after we're done with their remodel. You know, they can always call us and say, hey, you know, I'm thinking about doing this, you know, because our best advertising is our clients.
Mm.
You know,
word of mouth.
Yep.
Best advertising you have. Three more questions.
Right.
Is there a quote that's always been a mantra that you live by?
Not necessarily a quote, but back in July of 2012, I think one of the first things I purchased was a computer. The second thing was that whiteboard behind you. So at the top it says, successful people do what failures won't. I don't know if I read that somewhere, if I just came up with that, but, you know, in the early days, I would literally do anything.
Mm-hmm.
If you asked me to come adjust your door, I would do it, or install a doorknob. It didn't matter, you know. And I did well at that, you know, because I was doing those things. I was making great money doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was doing things that other people wouldn't do. And that literally has been written on that. It's not been erased. It hasn't changed. That has been up there for 5 years.
Wow.
So
Well, right.
it moved from my house to the office, to 2 different offices, and it hasn't changed.
Mine goes back my senior quote, and it's courage is being the only one that knows you're scared to death.
Mm.
And, you know, it goes back to what Steve Harvey said. You've got to be willing to jump.
Mm-hmm.
And the courage to jump and, you know, taking that opportunity. I know whenever I left Greenville to come back and partner up with him, I was scared to death. The last thing I wanted to do was go in and tell, you know, my boss and my mentor that I'd worked for 6 years that I was going home.
Mm.
And he took it well, and I was scared to death leaving a job that paid well. You know, my wife didn't have to work, you know, to come back home to do something I was somewhat unsure of.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes courage.
Yeah.
And
I had courage because he didn't know I was scared to death.
You know, so he called me and said, I need help. And I said, all right, I'm coming home. And, you know, that was my commitment to him. And, you know, scary? Yes. I mean, I think our first year, you know, we might have paid ourselves 3 times in the whole year.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's scary.
Yeah.
That's very scary. You know, at the whole time, you got to be confident. You've got to keep a positive attitude, and you've got to make sure your family is on that same page so that, you know, you don't instill fear in them. You know, at the same time, you want to be confident and keep their faith.
Right. Right. If you guys had a superpower or ability, what would you choose and why?
I would choose the ability to see the future.
Okay.
I think for obvious reasons, because you know that would mitigate a bunch of risk.
That's true. That's true.
So
That's a tough question. You know, I think that would be to, I don't know, have outstanding leadership.
Okay.
So that, you know, people looked at you as their mentor and wanted to follow suit. You know, that would be a superpower in my mind.
Okay. It's kind of like a Captain America.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Gotcha. All right.
that's right.
All right. Last questions, and we'll let you go. Advice for entrepreneurial kids and their parents.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. And anything that you do, you know, is going to be a risk. However, you know, it should be a calculated risk. You know, try to study, research as much as you can about anything that you want to venture into.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to know all the answers. You know, I learn something new every day. You know, I have setbacks every day, but you know, you can't let that control your decision to jump.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was my biggest hurdle, is just jumping.
Mm-hmm.
Mine would be get back up. if you get knocked down, get back up. Get knocked down again, get back up, because at some point you're going to get up so many times that one time you're not going to get knocked down.
That's right.
And that's the one time that you're going to hit a grand slam, and it's going to be success all the way through.
Yeah.
So get back up.
Yeah. All right. Awesome, guys. That was great. That was great.
You.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for joining me today.
Yeah.
Woo. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
how what's the best way for people to find you, and then we'll round out.
BuiltByNorwood.com, or you can give us a call at 912-210-2985 or 912-352-5532. I'm sorry, 912-312-5532.
Or look us up on Facebook at Norwood Construction.
Cool. All right, guys, go. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you
for being on the show. Excited to get this out because I felt pretty inspired at the end. You guys surprised me at the end there with the inspiration. So I'm excited to get this out there. So
we're also going to do some giveaways here in the next few weeks. So,
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And just keep in mind, failure is not an option. You may have a setback, but if you take failure out of your vision, then you haven't failed.
Mm-hmm.
It's get back up, like Seth said.
All right. Thank you, everybody out there, for joining us. As always, you have the rest of the week ahead of you. Go out there and do something impactful. Go out there and help somebody close to you. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next time.